I am not a YouTube creator, but I am going to create a little video for this. And what I want to show you today is a very simple method I found for mixing paints, acrylics, enamels, lacquers. And this is what I usually have been using for years and years. I don't know if you can tell, this thing is pretty old, and it's just a cut off end of a paintbrush with a beveled end, and I mix the paint and it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does take a while. And with some paints that are, say, separated, and some paints that the manufacturer calls for a certain period of time that a paint should be mixed. One of the paints I use, the manufacturer says mix it for 2 minutes. That's a long time to sit here and do this, which is, you know, easily doable, but a pain. So recently I've come up with a different way of doing it, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to start off with this old bottle of ceramic coat by Delta paint, and it's separated. You'll never be able to see that here on the camera, but it did. So it's going to have to be mixed twice. I'm going to mix it twice because I'm going to mix it once to eliminate the separation in the bottle, and then I'm going to mix it again to prepare it to spray through an airbrush. And this is just a demo. I'm not actually going to use this. So we'll set that aside for just a second and show you the tool. So what I found was I can use this with the right end attachment. Now there's probably a lot of different things you could put in the end of this and stir the paint, and it certainly creates at least one challenge, and that is you can make a mess if you get this turned up all the way. So you have to have pretty good speed control. And so anyway, this is what I found. I found this little tool that I had laying around, and I went and bought a kit. And this is the kit. And what this is it's called an ear pick. And this is what you get. Okay, you get all these different lengths, different diameters. This one's a lot smaller than this one. It's a little larger in diameter. Different ends. This is a little spring. I won't be using that to mix paint with, although I bet you could. And this is a lot bigger diameter than this one. Longer ones. I tried to use this, but because the end is larger than the shaft and the end is quite large, I didn't have a collet for it. I could use it. I actually could use it if I was careful, but I'm not going to use that one today. And I'll probably be using this one and this one. There's one of the tools. I got the ear pick off of eBay. They're available on Amazon also, and I think I only paid about $6 or $7 for the kit, and I got free shipping. So the first thing you do is you have to choose the right collet. You have to choose the right collet. It'll fit. So I pre-selected that before I started the video. And then put that in there as far as it'll go. Tighten it up. Turn it on and test it. Now that's the speed I like, and I don't know what that speed is, but that is about the speed I like. Right there. And if you get it going any faster, two things. One is you make a huge mess, and the other one, these will bend. Alright, especially the smaller ones. I've already bent one. Bent it back and still using it. It's one I had laying around the house, and that's where the idea came from. So all you do is you grab your paint, turn this on, get the speed preset about where you want it. And I like to keep my finger on the speed control and then stir. We'll be able to see the results when I pour it out into a mixing cup in order to thin it out for airbrush use. Alright, I think that's going to be good enough. So at the end I give it a little bump, and that just throws most of the paint off of the stick. This is a very thick paint normally, so it's not going to mix up thin like you would expect for airbrushing. It's a thick. You'll see when I pour it out to mix it again. So then I just take my rag and wipe that off. And being that these are, I believe they're stainless steel, they clean up without requiring any thinner or anything like that to clean. It might clean off right away. If you do it right away, they clean off right away. So take this out. Get a little of this. This is really old. Put a little of this in there. Yeah, that's pretty thin. Yeah, it's mixed up pretty good and pretty thin already. But it's a little thicker than I would spray through my airbrushes. So this is just a bottle I have of distilled water. I have other thinning products for other paints and other conditions, but for this kind of paint, distilled water is fine. And I'm not going to try to go into mixing ratios or anything like that for this paint. This is just about demonstrating the stirring process. And put a little water in there, and that could wind up too thin or too thick. So now what I have to do is I'm going to go to this smaller hair pick, strange name, with a smaller diameter. So I'm going to take off this larger collet and put in this smaller collet. Put this in, as far as it'll go. Tighten it up. You don't have to tighten these by hand or by wrench, because I'm not using a high RPM, or I'm not doing a heavy load. Turn it on again. As you can see, that doesn't really spin in a perfect circle, which helps in the mixing process. I get this right where I want it. Like that. Mix it up. You know, lightly touch the edges and the bottom. Give it a little tip so that you create like a current in there, so that you're not just spinning the paint in the middle and not getting the paint on the edges. Now this is plenty long enough for this particular paint. But if you had a thicker paint or a multi-part paint, like a 2-part epoxy paint or something like that, you might want to do this longer. So then, make sure I do this in the vertical, pull it out. That's going to kind of clean the brush off, or clean the ear pick off a little bit. Shut it off. There's almost no paint left on there, no waste. I got one drop on my thumb, and that's it. And that's the mixed paint. Nice and thin enough to make a mess. I could spray that through my airbrush now. You could do it thicker if you're a brush painter, or if you didn't want to thin it down at all, just mix it up in the original bottle and use it just like that. You don't have to thin it out, of course. So since this is an acrylic paint, I'm going to pour it right back in the bottle. The stuff is about, it's my wife's paint. It's probably 25 years old and it's still good. Keeping the paint in a dark basement that's temperature and humidity not really controlled, but regulated. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this little device right here. This is just a reporting device that I have, and down in the bottom right where it says 65 is the temperature here in the basement, 35% humidity, and it's dark, so my paints keep forever. So that's the end of the video, and that's how I mix my paints with an ear pick from eBay or Amazon. Hope you enjoyed it.